All right. Good morning. Welcome to Business Lab with Dean. And we are here today with Cory Dickman, who is in Waco this morning. And Cory, you are one of those people that I would define as a real entrepreneur in that you have multiple businesses in the fire and you actually have one business that specifically invests in other businesses.
hmm
So tell me briefly, if that's if it's possible to tell me briefly, what is it exactly that you do?
Yeah, oh, I like that. I love answering that question. I pretty much just chat with people all day long, and I drink coffee. Is pretty much just an avid coffee drinker. Yeah, no, I really, it's probably twofold. That first piece of kind of the operational things, being a founder and owner of businesses here, at least in Waco, we do have an escape room back in Portland, Oregon, where I'm from, and keeping that going and managing that from here. It always presents its challenges and things like that, but for the most part, everything else that I'm a part of is here in Waco. And so, yeah, making sure, a lot of meetings with managers and supervisors, just our team, and make sure everything is running how it's supposed to, but also that a lot of our growth strategies are in place, and continuing just to be better every day is a lot of the job. I think the other side of the coin is it's meeting with folks that want to either start a business, or they're in that funk where they've been doing whatever they've been doing for a couple of years and just not seeing results or growth, or maybe they have an expansion plan but they don't have the capital to execute that. So it's just sitting down with them and seeing if there's a fit with a partnership or not is probably the other side of the coin. Of what I kind of do every day. The days fly by pretty fast, so sometimes it's like, man, what did I do today? So yeah, that could be a 5 hour podcast right there. But the quick answer
Definitely.
would be that.
So, of all the things that you're involved in, which one do you consider to be the most fun?
The most fun. Yeah, I mean, I think the escape rooms are always the most fun. One, it's we've been doing it the longest. That was really what prompted me to move back to Waco, to where I went to school here at Baylor.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had moved back home for a couple of years, and then moved back, and then we opened up Waco Escape Room. So the concept of an escape room is always really fun. Just being locked in a room for an hour and with people you may or may not know,
Right.
that you have to work together to escape. And that's always a blast. I actually, so being in a room is fun, but running that business and seeing the interactions that go along with that is, compared to other types of industries and businesses that we're involved in. We do pedal tours and axe throwing and esports and stuff like that, and those are fun, like in their own way. People enjoy those, and I enjoy doing them. But
Mhm.
escape rooms, it's the only one where really you could be 5 years old or you could be 90 years old, and you can still do
Yes.
it, and everybody gets the same, really something similar out of it. I was running the front desk on Friday, and I mean, I hadn't run the front desk in a few years. It had been a minute, and I just forget, the joy that a lot of groups
Mhm.
have when they get out of a room, and they're just huge smiles on their faces, and they're all talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't get out, and it was your fault," blah blah blah, that is always so much fun for me to see that. So I would say, from at least like the structure of the business is a lot of fun. I get to do, and I think you had Jared,
Mhm.
you've had Jared on the show.
Yes.
He's my partner in the Waco escape room, so we get to do that together, and we've been best friends, and so that's always enjoyable, and that's fun too.
That's cool. So, how did you get started in the escape room industry?
Yeah, it really was through Jared. I had moved back home. I graduated, had finished with my master's in sports management, and wanted to go work in professional sports. Was the plan. I had narrowed it down to pretty much the Portland Trailblazers, NBA team in Portland. It's my favorite team, my hometown team, and so I had narrowed my search to one, and so was pretty hell bent on working for the Blazers. And so, but at the time, my family was living in Salt Lake City,
Mhm.
and so I was living there after grad school, and they have an NBA team there as well. And actually, the general manager at the time for the Jazz was a Baylor grad. And
Mhm.
so I had able to kind of use my Baylor card to say, "Hey, can I get a meeting?" And was able to get a meeting with his assistant, which I was so happy to take. I was like, "Let's do it." So I had lunch, and I was like on cloud nine. I will never forget that after that meeting, I thought, "This is it." I got my foot in the door, and here goes the journey.
Uh-huh.
Eric Spoelstra is the head coach of the Miami Heat, and he's a Portland guy. He went to University of Portland. He worked for the Trailblazers in like the video room, and he didn't play NBA ball. Like he's a short guy. Like he's like the epitome of like the non collegiate or NBA player to become like in the front office. Like everyone in Portland loves him. So I'm like, I want to be the next Eric Spoelstra. So I leave the meeting, get in the car, and I had like 8 or 9 missed calls from my mom. And I was just like, man, that's so weird. I know everyone was like happy I had this meeting, and I'm sure she wanted to check in, but I thought, man, that's a lot of missed calls. So I
Yeah.
called and picked up, and she was instantly like in tears on the phone. I was like, what is going on? And I wanted to tell her about the big meeting. And she was like, hey, I think I have liver cancer.
Oh my
And
gosh.
was like, what? And she was like, yeah, your dad and we didn't really want to tell you. I wasn't feeling very well, but we went to the doctor and had a scan or an MRI or whatever, and it's not looking good. And it was just like you go from such a this high
Sure.
to then like plummet,
Mhm.
and so the next 5 6 months was running, just helping her. I was working a job as like a marketing assistant for a company in Salt Lake, and pretty
Mhm.
much went from full time to part time just so I could be home and help her. And yeah, so it progressed pretty quick, and she ended up passing away in February. It was February or March of 2015,
Mhm.
2014. No, 2015. It just flies by. It's been 7 years. And
Sure.
and so after that, we're like just it's just me, my mom, and dad. Right, it was just the three of us. So now it's just me and my dad, and it was just kind of zombie mode.
Yeah.
I would say I probably was depressed. There was probably some things going on there where I just like I didn't really want to do anything.
Sure.
I wasn't working. My dad and I moved back to Portland so we could be closer to friends and family there, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And but I knew at that time Jared had started an escape room in Jackson, Tennessee, where he was working,
Right.
and he had kind of kept me posted and how it was going, and he'd kind of send me some numbers from time to time, just like, hey, check out
Mhm.
these reports and look at this stuff. And it kind of became, hey, I think we should open one in Waco just to kind of to get you out, like kind of give me something else to do, something else to focus on. My
Sure.
mom was the entrepreneur of our family. She owned businesses. She was always selling something. She was a fantastic artist and always sold her artwork and stuff. And my dad was like 9 to 5, same job for 30 years,
Right.
and so I was like, okay, like maybe I can do this. I've watched my mom do it, and it is just kind of a change of pace. Honestly, our mindset, my mindset going into it was that it's probably going to fail, and if it does or when it does, my dad, the thing my dad gave me when I left Portland to move back to Waco to start the escape rooms, he was like, hey, like he didn't give me a bunch of money or anything like that, but he
Mhm.
gave me like this parachute, basically, like when this fails, or if it fails, you can move back. Like we'll get you out of a lease, we'll get you out of whatever, and it's not
Mhm.
gonna it's not gonna ruin your life if you start some business and it doesn't succeed. And so that honestly, if that's better than him saying, here's 50 grand to get started. Like I felt like okay, like I have assurances in case this doesn't work and stuff. So yeah, that's why I moved back to Waco, and we did the Waco escape rooms, and uh, yeah, rest was kind of history after that. It's been a good ride, but that is what prompted me to move back here. Had part of a great church at the time that was really like family for
Mhm.
me, and so that was a good. I think I needed that too, as
Sure.
like a support system. So Waco,
Mhm.
yeah, Waco's been a lot of different things for me in different ways. You know, college, and then now living here as an adult. It's yeah, it's been a great place.
That's fantastic. I love to hear how people get started. And so now that we've heard how you got started, what is it that keeps you engaged in the business? Because I think people like you get excited, and people like me too, you get excited about starting something and seeing it up and running, and then you're like, okay, I'm out. Somebody needs to have fun running this. So how do you stay engaged, and how do you keep it fun for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I love the building the systems and the procedures and the grind of seeing how it works. You know,
Hmm.
I'll get into something and then try to think, how can this run without me here all the time? You know,
Sure.
and I get like so much joy in figuring that out. You know, it's like a math problem. It's a game for me, you know,
Right.
and because I mean, I anything that I'm usually there doing all the time, it usually works pretty well. And so it's like, how does it work when you're not there? And
Sure.
so that always trying to figure that out, I think I get a lot of joy and pleasure in that because it's never ending. The answer to the question is it's never perfect. You know, you can get it as close as you can be, you know, but if you have a really good manager or somebody that wants to leave or do something else, you know, you kind of have to start the ball over again a little bit. But yeah, I think that's, you know, I'm very it's hard to find metrics or like how to be measurable and success in this stuff, but I'm like
Yes.
I'm very competitive in that way. I like a leaderboard. I like to know, you know, rankings. I want to be number one. All that corny stuff. And in
Sure.
business, it's hard. It's like, what? How do you really compare yourself? Or like, how do you know how you're doing compared to other people and things and you know how do you measure success? And I think at the end of the day, um, at least in escape rooms, it's like if customers are having a good time, you know, you
Mhm.
focus on the customers. A lot of times that solves a lot of the issues because then your staff is focused on the customers and me. How do I help prop up our team and support them so they can be there for the customers? And if we're getting good reviews and people are coming to play our rooms, you know, we can, you know, Jared and I always are like, okay, how did this July compare to last July? Or how did
Sure.
this August compare to 2 Augusts ago or whatever? And for me, that's kind of like a measure of success. I'm like, okay, like we're like our revenue was higher this month than it was, you know, that previous month. And
Right.
so, you know, we're doing something right. So that I think that always kind of gets me, that motivates me enough as far as in the business sense to continue tweaking and developing things.
Sure. It's funny. You said something that you love the systems and the grind. And one of the common threads I've found, and I think I've only done 4 or 5 of these podcasts so far, but almost everyone I've had on the podcast has said, I like to work, or I love to work. And I think
Oh yeah.
that's what sets entrepreneurs apart, is the work is fun, right?
Hmm.
Like a lot of people go to the gym because they feel like they have to. And
Yeah.
my oldest is super into the gym, and he goes to the gym because it's fun. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons that he's been able to get jacked, uh, is because the gym is fun. And like for me,
I need to have the gym more fun. It's not
yeah,
fun enough
right.
for me to go.
That's
Yeah.
that's the business model right there, is if you can figure out a way to have actual fun at the gym instead of it being a
There you go.
horrible grind, then
Yeah.
you'll be winning. Let's
Yeah,
brainstorm
for
that
sure.
afterwards.
We'll figure that one out. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So what advice would you give to somebody starting out as a business owner?
Yeah, I think I mean you kind of touched on a few things there, Dean. But yeah, you want to I think understand what you're getting into. I teach an entrepreneurship course here in town with some high school students, and every every trimester, every semester, you know,
Mhm.
we'll take like a there's like a there's a certification at the end that they can earn, and so
Mhm.
we always take like a practice test just to kind of gauge their knowledge and where they're at with finances or marketing strategies. You know, but the one that I like the best is like the entrepreneur. It's like literally like 6 questions about what an entrepreneur is.
Sure.
And one of these questions is always like, pick 3 that apply. And it's like, what are these, what is an entrepreneur? And they always choose like someone that wants to be famous or doesn't want to work very many hours. And then one of the ones like to be, to be rich. And it's like, okay, guys, we need to correct your mentality here because like, can you make money? You can. There's a lot of potential for that, but it ain't guaranteed.
Right.
It's far from that.
Yeah.
And then this one about working less hours. They're like, well, yeah, I mean, I'll just be the owner and then I'll hire people. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
oh my
gosh.
goodness. I said, guys, like you are so wrong. Like you will be working 100 hours, like you don't even know. But where that then leads to the second thing that you said is because it's fun or it's not. It doesn't
Mhm.
feel like you're I was doing an operator development program with Chick-fil-A for a
Mhm.
year and that's work. I mean,
Yeah.
that's work. And
Right.
but when you're developing systems or you're starting a business or you're running it every day and you wake I mean, first year and a half, I was at the escape room every second it was open because it
Yeah.
just I didn't really know any different, but two, I was like too much of a not a control freak, but I just wanted it to be done perfectly. And so you're there all the time, but I didn't clock my hours. Like I probably was obscene.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't I wasn't married. I had no kids. I had no girlfriend. I had a dog, and that was pretty much it. And there was there was literally a time where I did live at the escape room. Like I was there, like in the back room. So I you just do it, and because you're having fun and you have a passion for it, you enjoy it.
Sure.
It doesn't really feel like work or a grind. And I know it's always corny to say, "Oh, do something you love," but when you're choosing to start a business, you have some decisions you can make at the beginning, and I would at least your first one out the gate, probably pick something that you could see yourself doing, even if it's not making any money in the beginning, because it,
Right.
it may not be and stuff. So, yeah, definitely have fun with it. The theme of this podcast is perfect for businesses because if you're not enjoying, I mean, I still have fun. Like I said, it's you're comparing numbers and you're like, how do we tweak this and how do
Mhm.
what do we need to change in order to for this to happen? I mean, and that those are fun conversations and those are fun meetings that I get to be a part of and see what we could be doing better.
That's really cool. It's funny. y- I remember I was in my small group, and this was probably 2012 or 2013. And somebody said, if you could do anything you want to do, what would you do? And I said, I want to own a marketing company.
Mm.
And so now I own a third of a marketing company, and it's fun. It
Nice.
doesn't, it doesn't seem
Yeah.
like work. It seems like fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so where's your business going in the future? And this could be escape rooms or any of the other ventures that you're involved in.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we are pretty heavily, or at least myself, focused on. So we have a podcasting company called Rogue Media Network,
Hmm.
and that we started about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, with Rogue, and that's really where I'm putting a lot of energy and time right now.
Hmm.
You know, we all listen to podcasts. We're on one right now.
Yeah.
But when we got into it, I like everybody loved listening, but then you start to, we did one show and then we did a podcast competition where we gave away 10 shows, 10 episodes for 10 shows. So it was 100 free episodes
Oh,
where we
wow.
would, we would produce it, edit it, distribute it. And we had, it's like 38, 39 people came to this competition and pitched their ideas. And we had judges and all this stuff. And it was just to hear everyone's ideas and their passions. Cause usually if you're going to have a podcast, you're not going to pick something that you hate. It's just like starting a bit. It's just like starting a business, and there were so
Uh-huh.
many similarities I didn't realize. And so we got into it and it does. It just got me so pumped and excited to see people like show up and record and have this idea and that idea. And regardless of the topic, even if I had no idea what they were talking about,
Sure.
I think that was exciting. And so we started with one show, then they added the 10, so we were at 11, and now, we've had our catalog is 88 shows now, which is
Oh my
crazy. And
gosh.
we have 37 that are actively recording. You know, a lot of shows, you know, they've come and gone over the years, but
Hmm.
that that like gets me. You know, you can track listens and downloads, and you know, if you're running ads, you can see the impressions and all those things. And that again, it feels like a leaderboard to me. It's like a ranking system, and so
Yeah.
I like love that, and I get into that so much, and at least here in Waco, because we're in a smaller market, you know, this is a small city. People kind of look at us like, well, you can't do that here. You know, you got to move to Dallas or Austin or Houston. You know, if you're comparing it to Texas cities, and then it kind of gives me like a okay, well, we'll show you we can do it. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
we'll prove you wrong and stuff. So that's where you know I in 5 years from now I would love for this network to be nationwide. I'd love for people to know you know who our hosts are and what our shows are like and things like that. So you know everything else here as far as the other ventures are going, like we have really solid teams in place and we
Hmm.
have a solid structure and business models. And, you know, sometimes I show up and I almost make it worse on our team because I either stress them out or I'm like, why is this trash not taken out? Or why is this, you know, and so sometimes it's better for me to be a little bit more hands off on like the day to day kind of stuff there. So, really this has been the project we have. You know, it's me and we have a creative director and a senior editor, and there's the three of us right now. You know, kind of developing this out. So that's kind of thing I've been focused on a lot, at least right now. You know, as far as like where we'd like to be in 5 years, I would love to see that take off.
That's fantastic. Cory, I love you and I know each other, and I always enjoy talking to you. And you know, I love what you're all about, and you're a really, really cool person and entrepreneur. So, how can people find out more about you?
Yeah. Oh, how to find more about me? That's a great question.
Or
How do I find
contact you
out?
if they want to.
Yeah, they could contact me. Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's where a lot of people, you know, usually will make connections or kind of outside of Waco. They can kind of search my name on there. You know, Road Capital. You can Google us there. We have a website, and that kind of streamlines well, it's not streamlines. It kind of packages a lot of things we do, either
Sure.
like with venture capital or the business endeavors we have. You know, incubator talks about the podcast and stuff. So you can find me there. You can always hit me up on Facebook or something. But yeah, you can kind of you can get to me in a few different ways. Usually, if you email one of the businesses, in one way, shape, or form, it trickles down to me. So. But yeah, I think the easiest is just it's Road Capital tx.com is our website. And you can always contact us there. And that those go right to me. So that's usually the fastest line.
I like it. Well, Cory, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for being on the podcast. And
Yeah.
you know, best with everything going forward.
Sweet. Thanks, Dean. I appreciate it, man.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.